Hello Scorpio, great to have you here. My name is Shauna. Today's reading is a general love forecast for November 2025. As always, take the messages that resonate and release anything that doesn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay connected with upcoming readings. Let's see what's headed your way, Scorpio. Out 20 cards, and I'm using 5 cards each to represent each quarter of the year. One of the main overriding message that I'm getting for you here is that be really wary about, all that glitters is not gold. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want to express. And the second message is that a lot of the times, we are very, very taken in by people who are very elegant, who have class, who have style, who have a lot of wealth. And not only is, financial wealth alluring, it also brings with it a very decadent lifestyle, and it feels like it's glamorous. And, a lot of people like that kind of lifestyle. But I'm going to say that sometimes, it's wealth is inherited, and also sometimes people have worked from the ground up in order to get where they are. So the point of this is we we only see the end result. We don't really know how the process works, and it varies with different people. So some people have inherited their wealth. They didn't have to do a thing, and that's really fortunate for them. And other people have to, hustle to get where they are, while other people might have just, hit good luck and they were able to accumulate the wealth. So the point here is we don't know what people have to do to get to, where they are now. So a lot of them might have just done unscrupulous things in order to get where is I feel that a lot of you might be taken in by the glamour and the glitz, and you're not asking the base, the important questions, okay? A lot of you might also be in a position where you are trying to build up your financial security. You are trying to build up that nest egg. You are trying to build up your financial future. And you're taking advice from people who have, a lot of wealth, and you're hoping that they can give you some pointers. But I just want you to keep in mind that whatever is appropriate for one person might not be appropriate for the next, okay? So for example, if you started out as a real estate agent during the housing bust, you're, no matter how skilled you are, it would be really difficult for you to not be bankrupt in that situation. So it's time specific, context specific, and people specific. So this is something to keep in mind. Trust that you have all the answers, okay? And I can't emphasize this enough. I do feel that Scorpios, you have very strong intuition, and I feel like I'm saying this every month. Try your best to rely on your own intuition rather than aligning yourself with the wrong people, jumping on the bandwagon for a wrong cause, and especially, trying to emulate somebody's actions because they portray a very luxurious, a very just decadent lifestyle, and that's the lifestyle you might want for yourself. There's no judgment about, wanting nice things, but thinking about how people behave when they come across wealth, when they are wealthy versus when they are poor, that is going to reveal a lot about somebody's character. So this is something to keep in mind as you progress through this year. Now let's go through the individual months oriented. Not entirely in a positive way, but I do feel very relationship oriented. Um, a lot of you from your past, you're really missing this person. There is, you're trying your best to reach out, and I honestly feel that the door is closed. So it seems to me that it's the first card out, and you're kind of staring into space because the other person is not reciprocating. Okay, they've gone off. I feel that they might have had another person. They might have given their heart away to somebody else. They're just out of your reach, and I don't feel that they are going to be coming back. So it would be easier for you to get over it if you knew the story, or if you had some kind of closure. So I definitely feel that someone left you hanging, like left you high and dry, and you don't really have an answer. Either that, or I don't, a much better mindset, okay? So just, I guess the best thing to do is that think about, just accepting the situation, and just know that they're not meant to be, or at least they are a very short transit in your in the greater scheme of things, okay? They're just like a stop along the way in your life's journey. They're not meant to be there for you long term. So I do feel that for a lot of you, that might play out in as a situation where, you know, three people were involved and they went off with somebody else and you're kind of left pretty much empty-handed, and they might have like talked big and, you know, got your hopes up, and then at the end you realize that it was all a facade. So once again, all that glitters is not gold, okay? So keep in mind and be very sensitive about authenticity, okay? Somebody portraying themselves in a right manner over and over again. And aim for the people that are where they're supposed to be, or that, you know, they are where they say they're supposed to be. They have always done what they say they were going to do, rather than the ones that just, you know, that sparkle and shine without very little substance point. And it is coming in as the Ace of Swords as well as the Fool. Okay, both of these cards reveal to me that information coming to light, and it is going to be a major something that you can achieve that brings about victory, but it requires a lot of trials. Okay, so that overcoming this past disappointment when it comes to somebody that you care about, you know, leaving you high and dry. I do feel for a lot of you, you are going to be able to overcome this, and you're going to be looking inward and becoming self-reliant, and this is when you start to toughen up and you take charge of the world. So you're heading out towards the world, and you are realizing that, you know, I'm stronger than this. This is just a very minor setback. I'm okay. One other thing that I do sense is that there is still at the root of the problem that deep-rooted sense of resentment and disappointment, okay? So if this is something that you're feeling, don't try to mask it. Process the feelings, process the disappointment, process the hurt, process the pain, and, you know, mourn the relationship before you move on. Because I feel like you're getting upset and angry, and all of the emotions are being bottled, and they're not being released, okay? We can't get over toxic relationships, and we can't release our ex unless we process those feelings, unless we mourn that relationship. Okay, so a lot of people, they become really bitter and upset, and they hold all of that anger and frustration, and it affects their next relationship. It's also like it also allows that other person so much power over you when they should be ideally, you know, completely out of your life. So this is just something to think about when it comes to, you know, why it's so important to express your feelings and to mourn the end of relationship, even though it might have been like a really bad relationship. We all need closure. A lot of you might be going out a lot, dating a lot of people, a lot of drinking. I feel like strongly a lot of drinking, and you're living the life. And I do feel that at this point in your life, you're kind of like reining in your feelings, and you're at a point where you're not being able to express them in a way that allows you to be vulnerable, that allows you to open up and relate to another person. I definitely feel there is going to be a person that comes into the picture to change this situation around, to allow you to open up a little bit more. I also feel that this person once was also very guarded, and he or she might have gone through a series of disappointment in their own lives, and I feel that they are showing you, they're kind of like a mirror of you. um, I guess like they see in you who they were like 5 years ago when they were like angry and, you know, upset. So in a way, they're kind of like a reflection of you 5 years down the road. So you admire their expertise and you trust their expertise. And I feel that there's a great emotional rapport between the two of you. I do feel that you might be almost like um, joined together. And I feel that you're going out a lot, drinking together, having very, very, very thought-provoking, insightful conversation. I do feel that they reveal a lot of things about you that you have kept hidden, or they have revealed a lot about a lot of, they're giving you a lot of food for thought. So I do feel it is a really beautiful dating relationship, but I feel it might be casual, or it can be just a very, very tremendously loyal and good friend. I feel for a lot of you, it might be a casual relationship. And either way, it's giving you a lot of insights, okay? Financially, I want you to just keep an eye out when it comes to your expenditure coming in for this second quarter. Once again, going back to what I mean by, all that glitters is not gold, and also about extravagance and that really opulent lifestyle. You might have somebody that you like quite a bit, and I feel that for a lot of you, you might be, spending a lot of money to either furnish your wardrobe, to upgrade your jewelry. Either way, I feel like there's a lot of excessive spending, okay? And like going out every night, buying really expensive wine and drinks and things like that. And I feel that it's kind of like emotional spending to build up our self-esteem, and then at the end of the day, it leaves us with like a bank account that's in the red and empty hands. So live within your means. And this is something that I feel like I never have to tell Scorpio, but for some reason it is coming out here. Or, I feel that you know how to live within your means, but this person might blow the budget. Whoever it is that you are, in trying to impress at this present moment, I feel that they might not live within their means, and then they come to you for help. But either way, just know that everyone has to deal with their own life lessons their own way. You can only interfere. You can only do so much to help, and you can only, try to convince them so many times. But ultimately, they have to make their own decisions, and they have to learn these life lessons, okay? So if it's not you, it's somebody who is very, very close to you. And I do feel, just keep a rein on alcohol consumption in general. Energies coming through is where, that entire message, all that glitters is not gold, is the strongest, okay? It's resonating so strongly. Be very careful about conception, unwanted pregnancies and things like that. Protect yourself accordingly. I definitely feel there are many, many opportunities to date people, many opportunities for dating, for, having flings with people. It comes up very, very strongly. I feel like you meet somebody, and it shows up here very strongly as a fire sign. So the fire signs are the Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. And you meet somebody, and it's just like, that instant attraction. And then for some reason, I feel that just as easily, you meet another person that is a little bit shinier. And the initial attraction that you have with this fire sign is really great. But for some reason, you might go off with the other person because they are just more shiny. So, but they're kind of, I guess, like superficial. So this is once again that message about substance and about, authenticity. This is something you want to be careful about, because I feel like, it's all a facade, and it fades. It's kind of like glamour that fades over time. So aim for people that you have emotional connections with. Aim for people who understand you and who you can grow with and who you can picture yourself with 5, 10 years down the road, as friendships or even as relationship partners. But I do feel a very short attention span with a lot of you coming in for this year, as well as, that desire for get rich quick, as well as that sense of, almost like attention deficit, where you flip from one shiny object to the next, and you also want something that is shinier, okay? So it's like looking at greener pastures, but I don't feel that it's entirely at greener pasture. It's just, having the ability to find contentment, and having the ability to realize the true value in something and someone, rather than the veneer. So this is about, I feel like a lot of it has to do with vanity and glamour, wanting that beautiful, really airbrush, perfect person, and it's just not realistic. And then wanting, that other person who is completely playing hard to get or who is completely unattainable, when in fact the perfect partner for you is like right in front of you. So coming through for the third quarter, I do feel this also extends across, clients, jobs. You want something that is a little bit more glamorous, because in the glamour, you're able to transcend almost like the everyday life. A lot of you might still be, recoiling from that first disappointment that I mentioned in the beginning of the year. And because you were never able to process those feelings, oftentimes one of the thing is, when a relationship partner leaves us, it can hurt really badly, especially when we don't have answers, because at the heart of the problem is that we feel rejected, okay? We feel rejected. And a lot of the times, one of the things that people do when they mourn is, that's why a lot of them, they go through like, major transformation. They might do their hair a certain way. They might, dress a certain way. They just go through this massive identity crisis, or they go through this massive transformation in their appearance. And a lot of it is like looking for validation, looking for validation that they are worthy, that they are deserving of love, okay? I feel that for some of you, not all, but I feel, Scorpios, if you're going through this, I just want you to know that you have to process your feelings. Whatever feelings that creep up, don't suppress them. Just try to process them. And the rest of the year is going to be so much better for you. Once you process those feelings, once you release the resentment, and once you start to get to the root of the problem, then the root of the problem doesn't lie with you, it lies with the other person. So, getting to the root of that is going to be able to help you tremendously for the second half of the year, because once again, I'm sensing that whole concept of, um, it's sort of like spending your time to build up this exterior, and all the while having a very shallow interior. So I feel as if, you are attracting people like this, or you are fascinated by people like this, or there's something going on here. And it's sort of like using just things in your life to fill up a void, okay? So for a lot of you, this is something that you might need to seek some help for, or you might need to talk to somebody about, okay? Because I do feel that it's it seems to me like it can be very lonely, and you have a lot of good relationship partners, but I do feel as well your financial situation is very, very stable. So as much as you're making, I do feel you're spending just as much in order to sustain some kind of like decadent lifestyle. And the decadent lifestyle will start to catch up with you coming in around the third quarter. So something to think about, especially if you are planning to get married, if you're planning to have children and things like that, you want to have that savings. So one of the advice that is coming through, and I feel like for a majority of you, is that there is a very strong connection with another person that is going to um, reverse this entire process. Okay, this sense of isolation that you've been feeling, there is a relationship partner coming through that is going to reverse it. And I do feel greatly that your your spirit guides, your higher self is telling you, there's a strong connection, and then there's this very shiny person coming through with very little substance, and it seems like automatically on default mode you're going to the shallow person, and your higher self is speaking to you and telling you, no, don't do it this time, because don't run away from the right person this time. It seems as if, for once, the script is kind of flipped in your life. Okay, so for the beginning of the year, you feel as if the other person never gave you an answer, and then you were pining after it, and then now your higher self is telling you, no, don't run away from the right person. So it's like that role reversal, where you were the one that was kind of afraid of commitment, because you're going from one shiny thing to the next. So And you're starting to realize that, the problem is that you were the one that might have been um, pushing the other person away and not wanting that commitment. And that's why they left your life. And I feel like for a lot of you, it happened during, your Saturn transit. I feel like with all those eclipses, with all of those, really harsh aspects. And this is like the year in which all of those lessons are kind of pounded in very hard, and you realize, this the one that was running from the relationship. So I do feel you have an opportunity here to fix this situation by being the one that chooses to remain in the relationship and not run away. Okay, so you have an opportunity here to fix that, and to fix, in the process of fixing that, you're going to be able to heal up. So a lot of healing coming through for you on the relationship front. So at that point, I feel like you're no longer chasing after those, shiny objects. You're going to be content, and you're not going to constantly, flip from one thing to the next, or start one meaningless relationship and, essentially ending empty-handed. So you're going to seek more emotional depth in your relationship. So this is like the third quarter of the year is, it's very beautiful and it's transformative, and it's going to be a really phenomenal time. Indicative of partnerships, stable relationships, and grounding, okay, and also spiritual enlightenment. So the first card I have out here is the Four of Wands, as well as the Two of Wands, and a lot of you might be dealing with air signs as well during this time. The Two of Wands indicates relationship partners. It's also like a partnership card. This also indicates to me work projects, okay? Some things are, you have been chosen by your supervisor to implement some things into the world. And I do feel that you are going to have a lot of knowledge and expertise in order to pull this off. And the knowledge and expertise comes from the previous quarter, where you are coming into your sense of self and you're feeling quite happy about this situation. Additionally, I do feel that for a lot of you, this can also indicate relationship partners where, there might be a geographical distance separating the two of you, or you might have met someone, and I'm sensing very strong air signs, so Aquarius, Gemini, Libra, where it might be a little bit difficult to for one person or both people have to really accommodate one another, so that already made framework for a relationship is not already there. So there's definitely some tweaking, but it has potential to grow. At the same time, for a lot of you, you might move in together with a relationship partner. If things have gotten serious in the third quarter, I do feel by the fourth quarter, they will start to solidify. Okay, so a lot of you might be getting married. The Four of Wands it's in the upright position, surrounded by very good cards. So I definitely feel that it is a change for the better in a home environment. So that means moving in together, getting married. Um, there can be festivities regarding, housewarmings and things like that. And coming in at the very end of this year, we do have the Hangman. And this is a card to me of looking at the world from a different perspective, incorporating all the lessons that you have learned and trying to, um, and, having it affect you on a very profound spiritual level. So this is a card of spiritual enlightenment, okay? It's also a card about sacrifice. So, we go through life and we learn important lessons. Some of them are quite pleasant. Some of them can be a painful process. Can take a painful process in order for us to learn the lessons adequately. So this is a card that encompasses, the whole human experience wrapped up into one. It's about incorporating life's lesson into the next phase of our lives. So Scorpios, the thing that I see jump out at me is, the overriding message. All that glitters is not gold. And I do feel that